Hey everybody, Fearsome Beaver here with part 3 of my wonderful serial killer story. I said I was going to do snipers and I tried to do some, and my god, it's been a while and I wasn't going to put you through that. So this is some hardcore capture the flag where I go like 40 and something and get like, I think at the very end I get a quad feed. Maybe it was a triple feed, and then I think I got the last 5 kills actually, but I think I got a quad feed, so that's worth it to watch. And they didn't like it, and they were mad. Well, they weren't mad, but they whined a little when I was shooting them all in one quick, swift moment. But anyway, I thought I'd get back to part 3. Normally today would be the weekly update. There is no weekly update this week. That'll be this. We'll be back on track with Don't Starve tomorrow. But let's get back into the story here. Last I left off, he wanted to move in earlier than expected and got really mad at me and scared the hell out of me. So I didn't hear from him for a few days, and then one day I went to lunch and was bringing my lunch back, and there's a police officer in my well, he wasn't in my office at the time, he was at the door. And he wasn't here for him, but he was here for some other tenants of mine who I guess were running a Grand Theft Auto ring out of our apartment building, and the cop wanted to ask a few questions and get some information. They were going to serve a search warrant on the mother's house. It was her 2 kids were, I guess, really big time auto thieves. So they wanted to say, you know, is there a number we can call when we want to serve it so you can let us in if they won't let us in, so that we don't have to bust all your doors down, which will just cost us money because they're not going to pay for it. So, but while we're in the middle of the discussion, the serial killer walks in, totally unannounced. I had no idea. And I said, you know, talking to this guy, you know, what do you need? And the cop's like, no, how about you come back in 10 minutes? And serial killer's like, okay. And I say, wait, what do you need? Because I'm on my lunch hour, and if you know, you need something that's going to take a while, then you need to come back in 45 minutes so I can have my lunch, because I'm actually on break right now for the next 45 minutes. And he said, oh, I just heard that the day I'm going to move in is going to be really, really, really hot, and I just wanted to know if you could turn the air conditioning on, if you can have the maintenance man turn the air conditioning on like the day before, so that I have, you know, so it's not so hot, because it was like supposed to be like 100 or something. And I said, yeah, fine, that's great, I can do that. And he's like, okay, I'll be back in 10 minutes. And I'm thinking, why? I just answered your question. And then he leaves. So the cop leaves later on, and serial killer comes back, and like, what do you need? I thought I answered your question. He says he needs me to walk him out to his apartment and show him how to work a thermostat. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I think most people, especially smart, electronically gifted, I mean, the guy worked on computers, would know how a thermostat worked. But he says he has no idea how to use one. So we walk over to the apartment, and as we're walking, he's behind me as always, and he tells me that he's really sorry for bugging me, but he wanted to be able to see me before I left for my vacation. And he said it in a very, not like, oh, I just wanted to talk to you before you left. It was, I just really wanted to see you before you left for your vacation. And it's like, oh, so you're not just a serial killer, but you're probably going to rape me as well. Okay. So I went in, I showed him how to work the thermostat, and I said that, you know, I still need to eat my lunch, because you came back before my lunch hour ended. And he's like, okay, I'm just really glad I caught you, and it's great to see you again, and I just, you know, I was really curious on how to turn the heat on and how to turn an air conditioner on. I really didn't know how to do that. And I said, you know, I'll be gone for the first week that you're in here. You know, Joyce, my coworker's here, my maintenance man's here. They're available. They can answer all these questions. You don't have to, you know, I deal with apartments, so renting apartments, so you know, you should probably not deal with me as much as you should deal with them. and don't be afraid to ever go to them. And he laughed, and he's like, yeah, no, I like you. And he said, I just hope you have a really great trip, and I look forward. I'm going to come in on Monday, the 13th, when you get back, and I'll be right, I just really want to see you. And he shook my hand, and it was like, it was a weird handshake. I'm not going to lie. I'm not trying to make this more than it really is, but I was getting the vibe that I was now being hit on in a creepy fashion. And the way he did he lightly grabbed my hand, and then his other hand kind of lightly touched my forearm, and it was really strange. And I just remembered going home that night and telling my wife, okay, well, I need to win maybe about $25K, and then you'll let me quit my job, and I don't have to ever return, and that'll keep us fine until I find a new job. And I just really did not feel comfortable. So the day I left, I got a weird phone. Well, I was at the time, since I was the manager, I had all voice messages that were ever left at the apartment complex. I would also get a text message of what those were. So I get this weird phone call. I get this weird text, and I think I was actually waiting to board my plane, and he said that he was putting his stuff in storage and came back to find everything stolen, which was very odd. That's not a very common thing, if ever happens. And I figured I'm on vacation. Somebody there will deal with it. My coworker and my boss and everybody's there. So I'm going to Vegas and I'm ignoring this. But sadly, since he wants to kill and rape me, he waited until I returned before he actually talked to anybody about much of anything. And right when I walk in, right when he walks in, he sits down. He's like, "Hey, Steve, it's good to see you back. I really missed you. So how was your trip? Vegas, if I'm not mistaken." And I'm like, "Yeah, Vegas. It was good, thanks." He goes, "Where'd you stay?" And I said, "In Vegas." He's like, well, I know that, but I'm just wondering if I can get more details, where you were and what you did. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not important. Sorry. So what can I do for you today? And he goes on a long discussion, pretty much with himself, about how he lived in Vegas and his mom and sister also lived there, and how long ago it was, and if the city center is the same as it was. And he was just really curious. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so what can I do for you? And so he starts talking about the theft. I tell him I'm surprised because, we haven't had an apartment break-in in the 6.5 years that I had been there already. And the last crime that I could remember that happened 2 summers ago, when 3 guys got caught in the act of stealing rims off a couple Ford Fusions in the parking lot. I apologized for the ordeal and asked if if there's anything else I can do with them. And he's like, well, I think it's an inside job. I wanted to know if you thought maybe the maintenance man stole this stuff. And I'm like, I already talked to Tom when I got back, and because my first thought was the maintenance man went to clean out his storage for the serial killer and didn't realize serial killer was putting the stuff in storage before his actual move-in date. But my maintenance man said he cleaned it a couple weeks ago and hasn't been down there. And then told the rapist that I thought that the 7 other tenants in the building, I just didn't think they were the thieves. And I also pointed out that he was probably the youngest there by 15 years, and I think, again, he's in his late 50s. He said that it must have been the previous tenant. And I'm like, yeah, well, yeah, I don't think so. He goes, no, I bet he made previous keys and he's stealing it. And I'm like, well, no, I'm pretty sure it wasn't the previous tenant. He goes, you can't be sure. You don't know. He might have had extra keys. And I'm like, you're right. I don't know if he had extra keys, but I'm 100% positive that the man who lived in your apartment before you did not steal your stuff. And he's like, how can you be so sure? And he's getting really angry. And I'm like, because he's dead. And he's like, oh. I'm like, and he was a priest. So I don't think it was a dead priest who went into your apartment and stole all your stuff. And he kind of let it go, and then he's like, so then he brought up insurance. He said he had renter's insurance and that they would pay for $500 worth of his property, but he figures he had about $1,000 in there, so he wants us to cut him a check for the other $500. One, that's not how it works. Two, get better insurance. Three, no. He wouldn't let it go, so I'm like, write a letter to my boss with all the info and see what happens. He's like, well, he's not going to do anything about it. And I go, probably not, because that's why you have insurance, and if you didn't get the right coverage, that's not our problem. We didn't steal your stuff. There's no signs of break-in. I go, did you have a lock on your storage bin? And he said he did. And I asked him, was it broken? And he said, no, they took the lock with them. I'm like, okay. So there's no proof that you even locked up your belongings, and you just admitted to me that you don't even... well, he actually admitted that he didn't know if you had it locked at that time. So, yeah, pretty much not our responsibility, so we're probably not going to pay anything. But again, you can write the owners and see what they say. So he just sat there as I was writing an email, actually about him, to my boss, and he just sat there, and I said, do you have anything else? And he said, yes. I need you to come over and show me how the thermostat works again. It really confuses me. I'm like, hell no. Hell no. Sorry, not gonna do it. That's just ridiculous. I don't know what the game was at that time, but that's ridiculous. It's a thermostat. You switch it to heat, you switch it to cool, you set the temperature, you walk away. That's all it is. So I grabbed one of my index cards and I drew a very lifelike representation of a thermostat. I wrote notes on what each little button and word means, and I handed it to him. I said, I don't need to go over there. Put that right on top of your thermostat as a cheat sheet. And he's like, okay, thanks. But I just wish you'd really show me. And I told him it's all right there. Put it on auto, select heat or cool, set the temp you want, leave it, go away. I don't have time to walk over there and show you. If you're having problems, then call the maintenance man. He will explain it to you and anything else you don't know how to work in the apartment. I rent out apartments. That's my job. And he's like, no, I'm only going to deal with you on all issues. And I told him that it won't always be possible, and some things are not my responsibility, so you better get used to it. Because that's just the way it is. And I asked him, is there anything else you need? And he said no and started talking about Vegas again. I'm like, okay. So I just ignored him. I went back and started writing my emails, and then luckily the phone rang, thank God, and he finally, okay, all right. And it was funny later that I gave one of my good tenants came in. I was telling her and gave her the mini rundown. She's like, this guy's really weird, and she's a teacher. She was a teacher at the college right across the street, or right down the street, and said she'd come every Tuesday. Because interestingly enough, it was Tuesday at 6:30, like clockwork. This guy was in my office talking to me, and so she would start coming in on Tuesdays to kind of push him off on the. To kind of make it, because anytime he would come in and there was somebody else, and he would seem offended that I wasn't alone and he couldn't talk to me, and he would always be very upset about that. And I'm just like, yeah, I can't really. I'm glad somebody's in here because you're freaking weird, dude, and I don't want to die and I don't want to be raped by some weird dude. So then, a few weeks. Probably after I had to leave early, which was great because I could avoid seeing him, and I guess that Tuesday I was gone, he stopped by and rang the doorbell to the office since I wasn't there, and my coworker actually lived in the apartment attached to the office, and she came in and they had a little conversation, and he's like, I thought there was somebody here late on Tuesday nights, and my coworker's like, yeah, I'm here, I opened the door, what can I do for you? And she told me the story, And he said, I wanted to pay my rent. And Steve said he was here late on Tuesdays. And she's like, yeah, he is, but he had to leave early today. I can take your rent. So he walks in, he pulls out his checkbook and starts writing out a check, which tells me that he was planning to hang out there and BS with me or keep attempting to woo me into his bed before killing me. Sadly, I had to deal with my 83-year-old coworker. And he goes, I doubt you know anything about this, but I was wondering if Steve mentioned anything to you about your boss possibly paying me the $500 for the stuff that was stolen out of my basement. And she's like, yeah, no, I know he's not, but she goes, can I ask you a question and say, yeah, are you sure you didn't put it in one storage room and then come back and look into another storage room? Because it's just not something that happens here. And if there's no signs of break-ins, he says, I know which room I put it in, and yes, I had a lock, but they stole it. And Joyce's like, oh well, and then she took the rent and said she'd let me know that he dropped it off when he returned, when I returned the next day. So then the following week, we I gotta see how much time we got. Oh, running out of time again. Damn it. I'm gonna have to do another one. Oh, aren't you excited? Because, man, this thing just goes on, and I haven't hit the big ending. Well, it's not really that big of an ending. But he came back in, and the next Tuesday night, and I saw him coming up the walk, and I'm trying to get all the paperwork, just like some paperwork to look busy so that he wouldn't, like, stay along. And he's like, it's really nice seeing you. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it right there. Because this was a long conversation, if I remember right. It was about the conversation about his stolen goods and the dead and the dead priest. We had a discussion about the dead priest that used to live in the apartment before him, which was very interesting. So stay tuned. I'll do this and Don't Starve tomorrow. You'll get both. I don't want my my Don't Starve people to be bothered. And here, I think, let's see if I do get a quad. This is gonna be, I'm gonna camp this area right here in their spawn. Do I have any more animal crackers? No, I don't. Yes, I still eat my kids' animal crackers. Counter UAV inbound. Yeah, I'm camping the hell out of this area. I can't help it. I think we were winning at the time. I never spawn camp, but I thought I'd try it. Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Get this other guy. Yeah, no, didn't get the quad feed. Got the triple feed. And then I'll turn around and kill this guy for the final, which is really a horrible final kill cam. I know he's there, and I just start spraying. And that should be the end of the game. What did I do? 42 and 20, 1 capture, 3 defends. Not bad, not bad. PTFO, right? PTFO. I don't know if I really did. I think my capture was pretty good. It was worth it. If you weren't paying attention, go watch it again. I think it was worth it. But again, thanks for watching. I will get the next one out. It should be definitely the last one. I forgot how long this story is. But thanks for watching. Sub, like, tell your friends. Bye.